Hello and welcome back to the Rope Access and Climbing Podcast. I'm your host, Mikey Stevenson, and today I'm talking about personal limitations. If this is your first time here, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Step into your harness and get ready for a podcast about the vertical world. All right, well, today I'm diving into the topic of personal limitations. This comes in different forms. I'm going to touch on some of the main ones, and we're going to cover it into three different disciplines. So we have physical limitations, mental limitations, and health limitations. All right, so some physical limitations could be sustained from any sort of injury or just a lack of mobility. So something that we have no control over personally would be size. This would be a physical limitation. There's a lot of individuals like me, which are, as you can tell, not very large people. And then we have larger people. So we have the smaller people for smaller, agile, tight little locations. We have big people that are big anchors, big bulwark, and everybody has their place. Injuries. All right, so no matter where you got injured, at work or outside of work, we got to make sure that you're notifying your supervisor so they can put you in the proper location, so we're not going to injure you anymore. And with those injuries, if you have to go into surgery, you may end up healing, but not with 100% of your range of motion. So keep that in mind. As a supervisor, you got to know that this sort of stuff does happen. People do get hurt out there, and they do lose range of motion. So these are all physical limitations that one may encounter. Some mental limitations. So fear, I'm going to start with that one. Fear is the one thing that keeps us all alive. All right. So if you don't have fear, maybe rope access isn't necessarily for you. Yes, it seems like you have to be fearless to do this job, but at the end of the day, fear is what keeps you alive. So going on from fear, we have the first time doing any sort of a task. All right. There should be some sort of fear, butterflies in your stomach. If you haven't done something, say something, and, ask your mentors and the people that are, operating or managing the job for their help. That's what they're there for. All right. This mental limitation may stop you from actually saying something, but you have to, absolutely. Vertigo. This is a mental limitation for a lot of people. Most likely, if you have vertigo, you're not, and you know about it, you're not going to get into a industry that you're constantly working at heights. It just normally doesn't make sense. Some people want to get over their vertigo. Unfortunately, a lot of doctors and a lot of scientists have done work and research on vertigo, and that's something generally that you can't fix, and or an expert in that field can't fix either. But if you have a very high respect for heights, then your supervisor can definitely work with that. Okay, maybe not putting you on jobs that are super exposed, but you're still working at height. Maybe your job supervisor there is able to work alongside you and kind of work with you and make you feel a little bit more comfortable with the equipment or the task you're doing. They're also really good at being able to just kind of keep your mind busy while you're doing your task, even though you're at heights, and you may not notice it after a while. And peer pressure is another, mental one. All right. Never let peer pressure get in the way of you doing your task. Okay. If you've never done something, say something, like I said before, but don't let the people around you push you until you just buckle. There's no time for peer pressure. There's a time to kind of, do new things and try things and whatever, but definitely not under the peer pressure of your peers. And we have health limitations. Okay, this really comes down to dehydration, diabetes. Those are the two main ones that I've had to encounter. I've had to work with. Now, dehydration does not necessarily come on slow. It can come on rapid. So please pay attention to those signs and symptoms. There are a lot of them. So like if you are experiencing headaches, nausea, slurred speech, if you're experiencing cramps in your hands, your muscles, stuff like that, chances are you are dehydrated and you need to drink a lot more water. But if you are at all dehydrated or overcome by dehydration, please get down as soon as possible. It's definitely not a good situation. Diabetes, okay? More likely than not, you will know if you have diabetes. And by the time you get to the stage in your life where you're working off ropes or working at heights and stuff like that, you probably have a pretty good understanding of how to manage your diabetes, and mostly type 1 diabetics. Now, type 2 diabetics can be an onset at any time in life, and that's something that you're going to have to control a little bit more yourself by your diet and, your day-to-day habits. Obviously, I'm not a physician, so please refer to your physician for that. But at the end of the day, if you're a supervisor working with people that are potentially dehydrated or have diabetes or any other sort of health limitations, please be considerate of them and work around their needs. Also, make sure don't be afraid to ask the questions. Okay, they've had lots of questions in the past. They know how to deal with them, their situations. Just work with them, please. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that you stay in your limits in no matter what that limitation is. Okay, if you have a situation, you feel a little wonky on the ropes, if you are starting to kind of experience vertigo for the first time, if you are, unable to speak while you're up there doing work, get down, get into a safe haven before anything does go wrong. You have to be able to know that your health and well-being is worth more than the job itself, and putting anyone at risk where they have to come and rescue you is not worth it. In the rope access industry specifically, there are not a lot of rope access rescues that happen. And that's a good thing. Maybe because we do better at understanding our limitations better than other industries. Maybe we're not as exposed, unlike a lot of industries. So we have the ability to get down to a safe haven safer and faster. No matter what the case is, make sure that you know your limits. Make sure that your supervisor knows your limits. And we can all go home at the end of the day safely. I hope that today's episode was a little enlightening of possible situations that could occur on the job site. I know I have had to deal with a lot of these things myself, both as a person, as a coworker, and as a supervisor. I've experienced these sort of things and had to deal with them. So make sure that, you're open to what they have to say. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications if you're watching this on YouTube, and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. I have new episodes coming out every Sunday, so stay tuned. Until next time.